Hello, everybody!
Turn this up in my headphones, Charles.
Turning it up. Hello, everybody, one and all. Welcome to yet another very exciting episode of the Friends Talking Fantasy Podcast. My name is Charles, and with me today, as always, is my lifelong friend and co-host, Dylan.
I'm ready to talk some fantasy with my friend, Charles.
I am ready to talk some fantasy with my friend as well, Dylan, and not just any fantasy today, because today we've got some spoiler-free, fun fantasy shenanigans going on with shenanigans. You know we love shenanigans here on the Friends Talking Fantasy Podcast, and what is more shenanigan-y than the Who Would Win fantasy scenario matchup generator?
TM.
Yes.
Right? Trademark.
Yes.
Don't forget the trademark.
Don't forget the trademark,
yes.
guys.
So it's
yes,
it's been a while, Charles. Yeah. I can try to explain it. You usually do a better job of explaining our segments.
I can explain it if you want me to.
Go
So
for it.
here's how it works, guys. This is the Who Would Win series. What we do is we have a list of characters from books that we have read throughout our career here on Friends Talking Fantasy, and then characters from popular fantasy shows and series in popular culture. And we also have a list of different competitions, scenarios, and we generate random characters, we generate a random scenario, and then we speculate who would win. We have no idea what's coming up. This is all improv. Totally improv. Total max out shenanigans. Maybe Friends Creating Fantasy is the most shenanigan thing we do. This is a very close second, though. So let's not delay any further. Dylan's going to generate the scenario. I'm going to generate the characters. Dylan, whenever you're ready, go ahead and give us that first list of characters.
All right, time to get that generator pumping. Beep, boop, beep. Wow, we're starting strong here, Charles. It's who would be a better podcast duo, which means that we're going to select two groups of two and speculate on who would win the podcast award or something like that. It's basically just who would make the better podcast, who would be more successful, who would we rather listen to, that kind of stuff, I guess. Who do we have here, Charles? What characters?
Sure. So our first podcast duo is one that I'm honestly kind of interested in exploring here. The first co-host we have is someone who this is their first time in the Who Would Win scenario generator. Whoa. And they are from a book that we very recently read from an author named John Gwynne. This is a character from the Shadow of the Gods. This is Elvar.
The incredible John Gwynne.
Yes, Elvar from Shadow of the Gods.
Yes.
And in the second chair, the co-host of this podcast, we have a long time favorite here on Who Would Win and on Friends Talking Fantasy. If you listen closely, you might be able to hear that click, tap, drag, pain as he's stumbling through to his chair. Let's hope there's not stairs along the way. Of course, I am referring to Inquisitor Glokta. So we have Glokta and Elvar on our first podcasting to him. It's very interesting. I think Glokta would have some advice for Elvar about the pursuit of glory.
Well, yes. That's so well said, Charles. Yeah, there's a lot of pursuit of glory to the storyline. We won't spoil anything here. This will be spoiler free. Mm-hmm. But even at the start of both of these stories, we have Glokta from the First Law, who has already been a glorious hero that everyone adored, but has since been really badly injured.
Right.
And now he he has had a lot of time to reflect on how important all of that glory and adoration actually was or really was not for the big picture. And he's always going around asking himself, why do I do this? And it's funny because he's with a person who is a much younger warrior who is currently in the pursuit of glory
battle
herself
fame.
In Elvar. Yes, battle fame. Well said, Charles. And yeah, Elvar is grappling with a lot of these things as well, and she's, though not in these exact words, we said on that episode where, if you have read, by the way, The Shadow of the Gods, definitely a good idea to check out the Shadow of the Gods
recommend.
Episode we did with Sam Book in Hand, who is phenomenal, awesome reviewer, and we discussed how Elvar has very complicated motivations that she's still figuring out. And I think she's asking herself quite a bit, whether she's doing it in these words or not, why do I do this?
That could be the name of their show.
I feel like, yes, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking, Charles. I was like, why do I do this with Glokta and Elvar? So Charles, how is this other... yes, I would so listen every episode.
That is a tough one to top, but we're going to try it here because our other podcasting duo in the first hot seat, as one of the co-hosts of this show, we have someone from perhaps one of the most famous fantasy series in modern popular culture. Of course, I'm referring to Game of Thrones. And who do we have in the chair but none other than the mother of dragons herself?
Wow.
I'm talking Daenerys Targaryen.
Wow.
Yes, big news here. We got Daenerys in the seats. Then we have on our second chair a co-host, another first-timer in the Who Would Win generator, another character from The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. This time we have Varg. So we have Daenerys and we have Varg as our second chair.
I mean, I just don't know what those two would talk about as much. I mean,
they've both faced a decent amount of adversity.
Yeah.
I don't want to get... I mean, it's Game of Thrones, I don't really feel like there's spoilers, but I'm not going to get into it anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Daenerys and Varg have similar beginnings in terms of, like, they're starting out at the bottom, and they're dealing with that. But yeah, like you said, I'm not sure if they have much to go on here. Let's just give it to Elvar and Glokta.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
That's such a
for
cool,
all the reasons that you've
generator,
stated. Yeah.
Yeah. The generator just really, sometimes the generator giveth, sometimes it taketh away, and the generator really gaveth with that first one.
Yeah.
So let's
why
just,
do I do this with
it's
Elvar
not even
and
worth,
Glokta?
Yeah, why
That's
do I
got
do,
a ring
yeah.
to it. Like, let's not even speculate any further. That's the show, guys.
They win.
I would listen to that. Definitely.
I would listen to every episode.
Me too. Yeah. I'm a fan.
Two amazing characters by two incredible authors.
And Glokta would be very scathing in his commentary, and Elvar would not be fazed by it. She'd be able to take it and then can power through, So I think that dynamic alone. Sometimes you could get someone paired with Glokta and be like, "Why are you so mean?" or like, "What are you talking about?" But Elvar, I think, could not only go with it, but also give Glokta a bit of a hard time as well, really pushing him on his insecurities and learn.
And I think she would learn, because I guess I spoke on that Shadow of the Gods episode a little bit about how I relate a lot to Elvar, and I feel like I learn a lot from reading about Glokta, and I feel like I'd learn a lot from hearing Glokta talk to Elvar. So
agreed. That's a good fan fiction right there. The two of them meeting and talking.
Oh yeah.
So, all right.
See.
Thank you, Fantasy Scenario Generator.
Yeah, that's a good one. Why do I do this?
Why do I do this with Elvar and Glokta? There we go. All right. What do we have next in terms of a competition? Let's get it going.
Beep, boop, beep. We've got a fist fight. A good old-fashioned fist fight, Charles.
Good old-fashioned
fist
fight. No weapons. This one is funny and very one-sided, but it's a funny image to put in our heads. I think Abercrombie probably has thought about this in his brain when writing the first law. And I bring up Abercrombie because our first character is none other than, guys, there's no other way to say it, the Bloody Nine himself.
Logan
Bethod's champion, right? This is a guy who's fought many battles and beat up a lot of people with his fists. And that's Logan Nine Fingers.
Can I guess who the second person is?
You can.
I feel like it's going to be like Harry Potter or something.
Oh, you're close.
Or like it's... Right?
Wrong series, but right sentiment. It's from Lord of the Rings.
Who is it?
And it is...
Is it Gandalf?
No, it's Frodo and Sam.
Frodo.
We have Frodo and Sam as a duo.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, they have the power in numbers, but I don't think...
Right. It's like the little lowly hero against the Bloody Nine.
Yeah.
Oh, so Sam... Oh, God.
This is a funny matchup. Because
I feel for
it's
Sam.
Kind of like the spirit it encapsulates like the themes of Lord of the Rings and the themes of Abercrombie's First Law at the same time, because Frodo and Sam go up against the biggest evil ever, and it's only through the humble, pure-hearted spirit of the hobbits that they were able to persevere.
And their friendship, Charles.
Right, and it's because they were so underestimated as hobbits that they were able to succeed, right? And then you have Logan Nine Fingers, who comes from a series where it's like, the biggest guy's going to win and is going to brutally destroy you, no matter how hopeful you are, no matter how pure your intentions are. So I think depending on who's writing this story...
Yes, that's what I was thinking too. If it's written by Tolkien, then Sam and Frodo together would find a way through the power of love and friendship. Yeah. And if it's written by Abercrombie, it's going to get gory.
Yeah. Logan's just going to brutalize Frodo and Sam. He's going to smash them together until they're like a pulp or something. Charles. Yeah, he would hold no punches on how graphic. And I think because Abercrombie's writing Logan versus Frodo and Sam specifically, he would go very over the top with the violence. And I think he would really enjoy it too. I think it would be a fun read if you're open to gore.
That twisted Abercrombie brain.
Yeah.
It's just,
I would
can
love
only imagine
to
what he'd
challenge Abercrombie to write a fight scene like, the shield.
Tweet at him from your personal, Charles. Tweet at him from your personal.
He would not pay attention, but it would be like a shield circle, right? A battle circle of Logan versus Frodo and Sam, and be like, write that scene and tell us what happens. And
sorry, on Abercrombie, I've checked this. He's only liked, I think, 20 some odd tweets in his many year existence on Twitter.
Right.
So he's he beats to his own drum, Joe Abercrombie. He's not out there responding to our lowly tweet, though. Well, we did get one.
We did get some reaction from him back in the day.
I tweeted what is the Pulitzer what has the Pulitzer committee been doing? And Abercrombie was like, I have no idea. And this is way early. You remember this, Charles? I was freaking out. I was like, they're just embarrassing themselves at this point. So
I think
that was our one moment of glory.
At Lord Grimdark, how gory would if you wrote a battle scene between Logan versus Frodo and Sam, how gory would you get? And see what he says, because I think he'd be very...
I'll retweet it from the FTF account.
All right,
I
might do that, everybody.
You gonna do it?
I might. I have to phrase it in a way that it's endearing and fun. Not just who would win? But I'd be like, if you were going to write this, how gory would you get? Implying that I already know that he's going to have Logan destroy Frodo and Sam, but it's to what extent? I think is the thing there.
How would he do it?
Yeah. It's how violent would he get? How brutalized would Frodo and Sam get?
Oh, God. There's probably so many listeners just wanting to cry.
And it would be
there, Charles, listening to us talk about this.
Frodo clutched Sting, hands shaking, mithril vests. and just the mithril vest gets destroyed. All that stuff. So
it's brutal.
Yep, so that's a fun one. Heavily one-sided, but no less fun to speculate. So another fantastic delivery from the generator. Generator's on fire today.
Yeah, it's on fire today. Yeah.
So let's see what the next thing we get is, Dylan. What is our next contest in the Who Would Win?
Get pumping. beep, boop, beep, cards.
A game
Pick
of
3.
cards.
But I don't know why we do this where it's like we've had this multiple times. We just have cards. Like it's not like Texas Hold'em or like what are they doing? Go Fish or
They're doing
poker?
some.
It's like it's very different. Let's say like poker.
Right, poker. Yeah, something that requires some
Texas
kind
Hold'em.
of cleverness.
Cunning.
Right. So we've got 3 people at the poker table. The first is not from a fantasy book, actually. We are drawing on one of our bigger pop culture reference characters here. This is one who is no stranger to the Who Would Win scenario generator, and who's won a few times and lost as well. I'm talking about the main character from Dragon Ball Z, all that stuff. Goku in the mix today.
Goku.
Cards, not his strong suit.
No, not at all. He's going to have a tough go.
Our next character in the mix is someone from one of the most classic fantasy series of all time, well loved in the community. I'm referring to, of course, Wheel of Time. You may see him arguing with Vail about whether or not to keep his beard. Should he choose the hammer or the axe? These are the ethical dilemmas that you will face when you're reading Perrin Ibarra from the Wheel of Time, guys. So we got Perrin and Goku.
Ethical dilemmas. Charles, is that an ethical dilemma that you deal with often, whether or not to shave your beard?
That's probably the most I can relate to Perrin, honestly.
The reluctant leadership, though, Charles.
The reluctant
You're
leadership.
Seen by people as a Perrin type. Like, you've been told on Twitter, people have called you a Perrin type.
I have championed Perrin as a character many times on air on the show, for sure. So I can appreciate that. I like Perrin. I think he's created this trope in fantasy that has become a trope since and has created some has influenced many characters.
I don't want it. I don't want it.
I don't. Yeah, exactly. So, love the Perrin's types out there in the world. And then this next one, Dylan, is a character that both you and I have been championing adamantly ever since we picked this series up very recently.
Rin from the Poppy War.
From the Poppy War. You nailed it. That's exactly correct. Yeah. So, our 3 characters are Goku, Perrin, and Rin from the Poppy War.
It's Rin.
Yeah, it's Rin.
Is it even... She would do whatever it takes. She would cheat if she had to.
Goku would
and
definitely
she's smarter than them anyway.
He's not educated.
Yeah.
Perrin does surprise us with his strategy, but he doesn't, he can't read people, which a lot of card games
just a straightforward,
right?
Yeah.
He's too straight, too narrow. Rin would play Perrin like a fiddle.
Oh, dude, we're on it today, Charles.
She would just bulldoze right over him and just take him for every cent he has.
Yeah.
And she would be totally okay with that.
Yeah.
She'd be like, well, he shouldn't have played cards against me.
Of my own heart. Yes. That's what I would try to do.
It's like, Perrin would have a tell. He'd scratch his beard or something when he had a bad hand.
And Fail would be. Oh well, I don't know if that's spoilery or what, but yes, let's. Yes, Rin would absolutely destroy both of them. No mercy. She's smart. She's capable. She's willing to do what it takes. She's Machiavellian. We like to say on here. I mean, what could stop her from taking Perrin and Goku to town and just walking out of there with every cent they own? I feel like, yeah. No. So anyway, Goku, Poppy War by Rebecca Kwong. Rebecca Kwong. One of our favorite series.
Check it out.
Please
great protagonist
check it out if
for
you.
Series.
Yes.
Big fans.
Morally gray.
I feel like Goku would obviously lose. He would lose with grace. He'd be like, "Oh, I guess I lost," yes. And scratch his head and stuff. Be like, "Oh, I lose again." That's funny. And Rin might get bothered by that a little bit. She'd be like, "Why aren't you in tears that I'm taking all of your money?" And he's like, well, money's not everything, I just like competing. I think their philosophies on life are at odds with each other. Rin would be like
competing. Yeah, competing is about being the winner.
Yeah, it's like I must destroy
Goku is like it's the love
ultimately.
of the fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And the fact that she wouldn't be able to like destroy Goku's like sense of security and well-being.
Yes, exactly. Like moral fortitude is like, I will break you, Goku.
Goku's
and he'll be like,
mental
look, sometimes you
fortitude
lose at games.
is some of the strongest in speculative fiction. Like many people have tried to break Goku's like, calm demeanor and have often been like, blah, like, like done that funny anime thing where they just like kind of fall a little bit, be like, oh, I can't get to this guy. He's like an impenetrable wall. And that's mostly because in part of his ignorance and part of his innocence. Yeah. So naivete, exactly. So they're a fun little matchup. Like if it was just a test of like mental strength, Rin might break trying to break Goku, but if it's cards,
yes,
Rin
but
all the
a
way.
broken Rin is even more dangerous, Charles.
Oh, yeah.
You act like breaking Rin is a good thing for her opponents.
No, it's
once
not
she breaks,
good.
It's even worse for them.
Yeah, so that would
that's
be an
what you want to
interesting
avoid
duel.
letting
And
happen
Goku's
to
come
her.
up with enemies that are like that, like Frieza and Cell and all that. But Rin is dangerous when pushed to her limits. So who knows where that would go?
Poor Perrin,
but that is
stuck in the middle of all this.
Perrin's not only not winning, but he's also like breaking instantly. So it's like it is what it is with him. But big Perrin fan, just not right for this matchup. So there we go,
the
guys.
Generator's killing it today.
Yeah. I think we've got like some great characters in here now. We've like edited it, so we're getting these good matchups, and it's like it's an algorithm, right? It's constantly learning and getting smarter and evolving over time.
Trademark.
That's right, and that's the trademark right there, the secret sauce of the Who Would Win Generator.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get another one in there. Congratulations to Rin for winning cards against Perrin and Goku.
There's few things I'll pick against Rin on, and right?
Yeah, cards is not one of them.
She knows how to win, and cards is definitely not
and she's
one
very
I pick
clever.
against. It's like,
she's trained at the school. It's Sterengard's. I'm gonna forget.
Siren? Synagard.
Synagard. Thank you. Yeah, she trained at Synagard,
go.
like the most prestigious school in the Poppy War universe. So she's vastly more, and in battle tactics too, which I think tactics will just translate to cards. So, yeah. If we didn't need more reasons to pick Rin.
Well, yeah, it's so I'm glad we took the time to talk about like Rin and Goku and like do a little process. Journey, not just destination here, despite what Rin might think. Yeah. And I'm glad we took the time, and hopefully, if nothing else, a few people. Like almost nothing brings me more joy than when people say that we got them to read the Poppy War.
Right.
Which like we've gotten some of that, and we get Abercrombie and stuff a lot, which is unsurprising. Like we always talk about how amazing Abercrombie is, but I feel like the Poppy War is one that I don't know, just like I feel like still needs more buzz, even though it's nominated for a Hugo. So it's like, come on.
Yeah.
So anyway, best series.
Great
is what it's
series.
nominated for. So
and we're gonna get some kind of show, movie, something in the future.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
I'm excited. Rebecca Kwong's working on that like dark academia novel now too.
Okay.
I'm just very excited about that coming up.
Oh, yeah.
You know, she's someone that you and I are going to be auto buying every
we'll be buying,
hopefully
reading,
we can try to get an
discussing.
ARC or something, but
would love
but
to.
even if not, we'll just buy a copy and talk about it as soon. Yeah.
Very well said. Always happy to champion her work. Yeah. It's hard to call her a rising star when she's already nominated for a Hugo.
I know.
But she's only just
she's younger
started.
than us.
And that's
younger
her first
than us.
published fantasy work, right? So she's got more to give, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I'm pumped. So, all right, speaking of pumped, let's get that generator pumping.
Oh yeah,
beep
here
boop
we go.
beep. Okay, we've got a duel with weapons.
Ooh,
Charles.
duel with weapons. This is very exciting here. I am super pumped for this because it's just classic good old duel with weapons. But our first character in the generator is not one you would associate with violence. If anything, Ursula Le Guin, the author of this book, is anti-violence and made a point to not have any duels or fights or anything like that with weapons, but we're gonna put the character in the throes of it anyway. I'm referring to, of course, Ged. And then perhaps through some poetic justice here, we have another wizard in the mix. This will be a duel, and the weapons will be wands and staffs and things. And of course, when you think of wizard, there's no more famous wizard in all of the land than Harry Potter. We have Ged versus Harry Potter.
I think
the generator's on fire.
So I'm thinking
today.
a young. Okay, the generator's killing it. I'm thinking a young Ged. So there's no spoilers. Right. We're starting at the beginning here. Yep. Ged is a proactive upstart who really pursues everything, who's kind of insecure and wants to prove himself constantly. We don't know anyone like that. So the Ged is out there just trying his hardest and really taking initiative and training at things and
being naturally very
Harry
talented.
And being naturally gifted. Yes. So is Harry Potter in terms of the natural gifts. However, when I think about Harry Potter, I think about a person who is a passive participant in his own story. Let's be honest here. It starts very early on with, "You're a wizard, Harry." Someone has to tell him. And then he gets whisked away on this magical journey. And I won't tell you everything that happens because of spoilers and stuff. But let's just say, his story's okay, can I do Harry Potter prologue stuff without feeling like I'm spoiling here, Charles? Can I go for it?
Yeah. I mean, everyone knows the premise of Harry Potter. I wouldn't go past the premise.
Yes. Well, the premise is that Voldemort killed his parents.
Yes.
And that he is the chosen one with a big lightning scar on his forehead because he was a baby when his parents got killed by this evil dark lord that everyone's afraid to say the name of, but it's like, come on, just say it. And the whole story is based around something that just happened to Harry when he was a baby without him doing anything. And that trend continues of just everyone telling Harry things, doing things for Harry, the world just rotating around him. Ged is out there taking initiative, and he'd probably train for this fight. And it depends who's writing again, right? Because it's because let's be real here, Harry would just fall ass backward. Sorry, I don't know if I can say that on the podcast.
I think you could say ass.
But okay, he just fell ass backward into succeeding at everything and never had to face any actual. Okay, I mean his parents got killed, so I'll give him a little credit. But you know what I'm saying? He just everything falls into his lap. It feels like.
Well, okay. I hear what you're saying, and I knew right away you were gonna be Team Ged, and that's fine. So to play the devil's advocate here,
okay.
So don't take this personally when I start defending Harry Potter, because here's the thing about Harry Potter. Harry Potter, without getting into any plot details, has a lot of combat experience. He's faced a lot of deadly foes throughout this 8-book-long or 7-book-long, however long Harry Potter is, series. He's defeated creatures, evil forces, all kinds of challenges. He's competed and, done very well. And yes, a lot of that can be attributed to natural talents and passive gifts and things like that. But he's also got a pretty good record in terms of combat experience and duels, whereas Ged, if anything, has none. He lives in a world where the author purposefully avoided conflict, and yes, Ged has shown to have very strong natural abilities and great power, but can he then turn that against someone maybe arguably also very powerful in magic to fight a duel in combat? It's one thing to do impressive things with magic and summon things and conjure things and do cool spells and all that, but it's another thing to actually be in a duel against someone. And depending on what part of history we choose Harry Potter, he has a lot of experience in dueling and combat, whether passively or proactively. So I feel like you said, it depends on who's writing this. You could make a case for both, but like in terms of like canon experience, I tend to like to give things towards people that actually have experience, and I'm leaning towards Harry Potter in this one.
That makes more sense than I was hoping it would. You're probably right, Charles, and I think that you've been dragging me through Harry Potter
a Twitter
stuff
poll,
since,
Harry Potter's gonna win in a landslide. But...
Yeah, Harry Potter's gonna win every Twitter poll because he's Harry Potter, and people will be like, "Who's gay?" But the point, I don't know. I want to say you're right, Charles. We'll give it to Harry Potter, and I also want to explain to our wonderful listeners that Charles has been dragging me to Harry Potter things since his birthday. Like, what age was that birthday party?
I have no idea. Like, whenever that book came out, 2000. The movie came out 2001, 2002.
Was it the first one that you had that birthday party? And
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
Google it. Harry Potter.
And the
first movie. I want to figure out how
first movie. It's called The Sorcerer's Stone.
I'm a fantasy podcaster, everyone.
First movie, guys. This is what we get.
So we were 9. So or you might have been turning 10 or something. What? Or maybe not. Yeah.
9 probably. Depends on when it came out. I feel like it came out when I was turning 10, so...
Can we see the date it came out? November 14th?
Okay.
That's not around your birthday.
No, it's not.
Maybe it was one of the later movies.
Maybe. But either way, those movies came out early 2000s, so you can imagine it's like...
and you dragged me to
15 plus years ago. Hey, you were invited. You could have said no. That's a thing of an invitation.
As a child, anyway, I wanted to go because I wanted to do it with you, Charles.
I appreciate that.
Because it's your birthday, and I imagine I didn't make too much of a fuss, I hope.
I don't remember it.
Good. So I guess it wasn't memorable. That I guess I did okay.
Right.
So anyway, I'm making a fuss now to make up for it. And Charles, but I'll also say you're right. I guess Harry wins, but I'm not happy.
I can see scenarios in which Ged wins, and I love Ged as a character, and I think he has more than enough magical ability to defeat Harry Potter. It's just a matter of being combat ready, which you can make the case for Harry, and I think court of public opinion will reside with Harry. So I just had to, I feel like I have to represent Harry a little bit here.
I know. So, you've been doing it for like decades with me, so
we'll give it to Harry Potter for now with a little asterisk, So it is what it is, but that was a great matchup, though.
The generator's freaking killing it today.
It.
We've had episodes, we've had episodes where we're like, we'd get off the air and we'd be like, dude, like, what was the generator doing? Like that, they wasn't giving us anything. But today, it's like doing on quite well. Fire.
Yeah, quite well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought to pit Ged and Harry Potter together, and it's a great matchup.
In a duel.
Yeah.
Well, Ursula has a history with, Ursula unfortunately has passed, but when they asked her about Harry Potter and like how people were talking about how novel and new Harry Potter was and how exciting it was for the fantasy genre, and to have like us stuff, and it's like a young chosen one type, and it's like, and Ursula was like, what? Like, and then like she said, because I think JK, from what I don't know any of these people personally, but I got the sense that Ursula, from reading about this, Ursula thought that JK did not really give a lot of credit to her predecessors and possible inspirations. And Ursula said, there's a quote that's like, Ursula said something like, that hurt. Like, it hurt that she didn't ever say that this story was very similar to the one that I wrote, and that she didn't give credit to someone who wrote this a long, long time before she ever picked up a pen,
Ursula definitely.
You know what I mean?
I mean, as a one female author in fantasy, and two, a highly successful, mega talented one from way back in the 60s, it's like
when it was
paving the way, not even for fantasy, but for young adult as a genre too. Right. definitely any like young adult author in fantasy today is kind of standing on her shoulders, and then in a little bit of a way, because she was just pioneering the whole thing, and she did a fantastic job. So super supportive of her. Yeah, it's interesting to put those two together and see how the times have changed and how fantasy has changed, and they're two very interesting characters to compare. So Ged and Harry, there we go. So Dylan, why don't we generate another scenario here? We've got time for another one.
Oh yeah. We'll get that pump in. Beep, boop,
Beep,
beep.
boop, beep, boop, boop.
We've got a drinking contest here, Charles.
Oh,
these ones are fun. I always like
the
these.
drinking contests are fun, and this one too is a very interesting matchup as well. I'm not sure who would win on this one, so we're gonna have to do some speculating here.
Ooh.
I think I know who you're gonna choose. So
You usually do.
So and on one end of the table, okay, we've got someone who is from their own series, right? The titular character of the series. Ooh. And this is someone who dips a little more into the science fiction realm. This is someone who, I don't know, would agree with me saying someone. There's something, some nebulous in between.
They referred to themselves as it.
It. So, and then so what we have here is, of course, we had the honor of talking about this book with fiction fans way back in the day. My parents still bring that episode up, even though it was a long time ago. I think they listened to that and stopped listening. This is Murderbot.
How do you top talking Murderbot with Sarah and Lily from
exactly.
Fiction Fans?
You don't.
The pinnacle, and definitely if you haven't checked out Fiction Fans yet, which I imagine there's, I imagine overwhelming number of our listeners are listening to them too, but definitely check them out.
And if you haven't read Murderbot by All Systems,
it's quick.
All Systems too. Read, quick right? Read. The first one, quick read, very entertaining, and that's what we'll be drawing on today to defend Murderbot in this drinking contest against. Guys, this is one of the characters you probably wouldn't want to go against for anything. They have it all. Super tall, super muscular, exotic red hair, exotic blue eyes. A man of, I don't want to get too into it, but a man of prophecy and legend. Of course, I'm talking about Rand Thor from the Wheel of Time.
He was in a drinking contest before. He was against Ari from the Kingkiller Chronicle, and you had to listen to me try to say Ari would win. And you're like, she's emaciated, Dylan. And I'm like, the thing about Ari is that...
It's not which character, it's not like who likes Ari the most competition.
I'd win that one.
Yeah. It's a drinking contest, but you might actually have a case this time around, because I have a feeling here you're going to start defending Murderbot on this one. Yeah, and I think you have a very good case for this one.
Yeah, you're a notorious Rand apologist, Charles. We know that.
Look, you're trying to say Rand would lose to Ari in a drinking contest. It's just not going to ever happen. Will never, ever happen. Rand is a giant. So, okay. His body mass index is crazy. He can contain more alcohol. It's just fact. But Murderbot is part robot. So
right. Well, yeah. Inorganic parts. Yeah. I really don't. I mean, who knows with the canon and things like that. There is canon with Rand, especially we're talking early on in book 1. Rand drinking and blushing like he's always doing and turning red and being like, oh golly gee, me here I am, Rand, a little too drunk. It's so there is precedence for Rand, despite his blue eyes, getting his red hair and his 6 foot whatever he is. Despite all of that, we know he can within reason get pretty schwasty, and we also know that Murderbot has organic parts and inorganic parts, so I imagine can drink alcohol. But are we really thinking that this killing machine, it's a Murderbot is a sec unit, so more about security and stuff. But still, this giant Murderbot is getting drunk easily at all?
Yeah.
Like, no, there's no way. I think that it's like not even a contest. Murderbot drinks Rand under the table, and Rand loses at something for the first time in his life.
Yeah, that's fair. I would agree. I'm going to say Murderbot because of like there's the inorganic parts that comes into this, right? So there's a lot that Murderbot can kind of rely on that an organic being like Rand could not. I don't even know if Murderbot is capable of getting drunk. Maybe.
Yeah.
I would love to see this scene play out from like a Martha Wells style Murderbot diary entry, where like there's people all gathered around one of the many famous taverns in Wheel of Time, cheering them on. They've got like just a stack of bottles and cups, and Rand is like, they're sitting across from each other, taking shots.
Yeah.
And Murderbot.
Rand's blushing as red as his hair.
And Murderbot is just confused and like just wants to like leave and watch TV and doesn't understand like I keep drinking this thing like it's some kind of accomplishment and everyone's cheering and I'm just really uncomfortable.
Yes.
Like they're making me do this. I don't really want to. I'd rather just like go back and watch TV. And then Rand being like, I will beat you, Murderbot. But maybe Rand. Who knows? I don't want to get too far into it, but Rand might have some abilities in his back pocket to cancel out.
He might, but eventually Murderbot's winning this one.
I am happy to give it to Murderbot as well. And if we are going to get a fanfic of this, I would love it from like the Murderbot, Martha Wells voice from Murderbot's perspective style, because I think it'd be so interesting to juxtapose like the classic fantasy element of a drinking contest in a tavern with Rand, and then insert Murderbot, like who suffers from social anxiety and also like can't get drunk and like it's like in this bizarre fish out of water scenario. So that would be a great story, and Murderbot would win.
Beautiful.
Unless Murderbot just like gets up and leaves early or something, and Rand is like, I win, she leaves, that kind of thing. But I don't want that to happen.
They leave.
Fun. Yeah, they leave. Yeah,
it's tough. It is tough with the pronouns with Murderbot. We were like all episode trying our best to do that. Right. It's very tough. Yeah. It's but we're trying, Charles, and that's what it's all about. We're doing our best. So.
And I was speaking from Rand's voice
honestly,
also.
Yes, Rand would definitely.
Rand would mispronoun, I would think. Not
probably,
intentionally.
Honestly, not intentionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rand, I think, would have a little bit to learn.
Because Rand's never had to actually stop and think about anything in his life. But he still does anyway, even though...
And he would try, and he would do the right thing.
He would try.
Yeah,
eventually.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's always doing his best.
He means well.
He means well, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, he's just a shepherd from the Two Rivers.
Just a
what
humble
can we expect from
6-foot-something, super muscular shepherd from the Two Rivers, guys. That's all. Super humble. So, with that being said, congratulations to Murderbot on your victory in a drinking contest against Rand. Not easy to beat Rand. So, hats off.
No.
Hats off to you, Murderbot. And I think we have time for one more scenario.
We'll give it one more,
so
Charles.
let's give it one more. What do we have?
All right. Beep, boop.
Beep, 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 boop. What?
Oh, Charles, this is good.
All right, what do we have?
A battle royale
Woo-hoo!
with pick 4, Charles. Pick 4 here.
All right, let's do this. The first character in this Thunderdome battle to the death is someone that I'm already listening to Dylan desperately trying to promote that this character would somehow win and survive. Of course, I'm talking about...
Is it Denna?
Nope, it's Ari.
Oh.
It's Ari from the Kingkiller Chronicles. I'm already here, so prepare your defenses.
I'll prepare my arguments. Now. Yeah, I'll prepare it while you're working
Because
on
going
other
up
stuff.
against Ari is another magical woman, but from a very different series. This is someone who is not shy of battle and who's very confident, very strong, very powerful magic user. I am referring to Yennefer from the Witcher saga.
Interesting.
So we have Yennefer, we have Ari, and then we have, So the fantasy generator continues to deliver because we have two more characters entering the Battle Royale Thunderdome-esque fight to death here. Two more women in fantasy, two magic users, two characters from the Wheel of Time. We have Moraine and we have Egwene.
Oh. Wow.
Moraine and Egwene.
Yeah, two of the best two of my favorite characters in the Wheel of Time are, I mean, they were both S tier when we did that Wheel of Time.
Yeah, they're great
list
characters.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we have Ari,
awesome.
we have Yennefer, we have Egwene, and we have Moraine.
It's an interesting
Four
crew.
characters.
Okay.
Interesting crew.
I'm actually willing to say that, and Charles, I'm sure you have some process, like how it would all play out going through your head right now. I'm thinking about this who would win stuff. I'm thinking like, I actually don't have a good case for Ari in this one. I
Wow.
just hope she gets out
breakthrough.
okay.
Only one gets out okay.
Oh, no, Charles, not Ari. You really think anyone could hurt Ari?
I think if anyone could, it's Yennefer. I think Yennefer is the most, dare I say, realistic about these things.
Yes.
Moraine,
You have to
too,
be
actually.
realistic about
I would
these
think
things.
Moraine also could be a little cold-blooded when she has to be.
To. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think those are...
Egwene can kind of do it, too, but I feel like Egwene would want to be friends with Ari. Those two would get
I think
along.
honestly, although we know, I think it's a toss-up between Moraine and Yennefer in this one. It just comes down to I like that Yennefer, I think, is a bit more battle-hardened, a bit more pragmatic, a bit more realistic, but Moraine is
I don't
up
think
there.
she has the level of like battle magic.
Yeah.
I don't want to name spoiler level stuff, but there's stuff that happens relatively early in the first book of Wheel of Time that you can see what Moraine has and she's capable of.
Right.
That I feel like she shows those things. There's a particular thing she can do that I'm dancing around that any Wheel of Time big fans are probably like screaming at their car radio or whatever. Like there's car speakers.
Yeah,
I don't think we do
we
radios
don't
anymore.
broadcast.
we're not on the radio, Charles.
No.
Okay. They're screaming at their car speakers a 2-syllable word that I can't say, that Moraine is capable of doing. And I just think that Moraine has this one with the greater battle magic skills.
Yeah.
All great characters. Yeah.
All great characters, and I would agree. I think Moraine just has set the precedent for being capable of some really impressive like battle magic. That Yennefer hasn't. Like Yennefer is obviously a very powerful magic user in the world of The Witcher, but I just don't think we've seen the same level of like destruction that we've seen from Moraine. Right. So I'm happy to give it to Moraine as well. I think Yennefer kills Egwene, Moraine kills Ari, and then they duke it out. Yennefer and Moraine.
Brutal.
Because I think Moraine and Egwene are going to try and
savage.
buddy up, and Yennefer's just not going to let it happen. And Ari's not going to defeat anybody, if poor Ari. And Egwene, although very, very admirable in her own rights, she's just outclassed. Like, first of all, she's in the same universe as Moraine, and Moraine is kind of her, is kind of taken on this this Gandalf role in the series, so it's hard to say that someone that's not Gandalf beats Gandalf. So right away, you can't win there. And then you have, you can't win. And then Yennefer is like super accomplished in Witcher. So if it was just Yennefer Egwene, I would give it to Yennefer. So that's where I'm at.
I think you're right. This is hard for me to imagine because of the things that would happen to characters I care about. But yeah, I'm just thinking of this Patrick Rothfuss gif that I drop sometimes on Twitter that is him. It's him in an interview and he's just saying, and I only cope by not thinking about it too much. And that's me trying to deal with this who would win battle royale. Like, Ari has to go down here. I'm
Right.
only coping by
There's
not thinking
something-
about too much. But you're right, Charles. This is how it would play
I
out.
wish there was more. Like, there's some canon I'd be interested in seeing that I don't think Rothfuss would ever write, but I'd be interested to see what Ari can do when pushed in the corner, and like fight or flight moment. Because there's always this mystery about
would
Ari
flight.
about
She would fly.
yeah, but if she's
Fight
if
or
she's
flight, she'd run.
if she's in the corner and she can't run, and
Yes.
Moraine is about to just wipe her off the face of existence, like what would she do? And I feel like Rothfuss has intentionally been like, is Ari just kind of like
mysterious?
Is just kind of like an unwell person, or is she actually really sage and all knowing? Like she kind of
Right.
walks that line very well. And that hasn't really been tested.
And we still don't know.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the
it
thing. We
hasn't
still
been
don't know. So it's like part of the spoiler-free stuff is not saying things that we speculate on, but the point is that we are speculating on the things still about those because book 3 isn't out yet. So who knows what Ari is capable of?
Like, is she just
We
like
might have-
a harmless, emaciated young person, or
Wraith.
is she like a Gohan type, where like if pushed to the limit, she goes berserker? Which it's hard to imagine, but it's hard to imagine her being defeated. Also, she's such like the seemingly like knowledgeable, wise younger person, but she's also got this
childlike
innocence.
and a weird. Yeah, it's like
so it's hard to say, and because we don't have that canon of her being like pushed and like having to decide if she's gonna actually. Like, I don't even think fighting is something that she like registers as a thought. Like, oh, do I have to fight this person now? Like, I don't think she ever goes there mentally.
Right.
So it's hard to put her in a combat
just not
situation.
the way of things.
Yeah, it's just not the way of things. So
she knows the way of things, and that would not be the way.
Right.
And I think, I think this all makes a lot of sense, Charles. As always, we're very excited for book 3, but we also want to
we wait patiently.
We wait patiently because we sit still, as Ari might say,
right?
As we wait for Rothfuss to, in his own time, produce a book that he feels like he's proud of, and we're excited for it as much as anyone else. Doors of Stone, right?
Doors of Stone.
We think it's going to be incredible. Or is it Door?
Door of Stone.
The Doors of Stone.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess it up on my after I didn't know the name of the Harry Potter first. If I was pushed, for the record,
The Sorcerer's
if I was
Stone.
in a corner like Ari
You'd be like,
in
let
fight or flight mode,
let
and
me
I had to name the Harry Potter first movie, I think I could have got there, Charles. But it is fair. It is fair. The Doors of Stone, we're very excited about.
And the Sorcerer's Stone.
But we wait patiently. And all these stones, we're
right.
very excited about all of it. So, this was Charles, I feel great.
This
might be
one.
the best Who Would Win, who's to say if our improv skills did as well as people might be hoping for. But that being said, I think the generator gave us the best matchups that we've ever had.
Some of the most interesting, like you said, matchups, right? Whether it's the best content we've done and Who Would Win is up to the listeners.
You decide, wonderful listener.
But we were given the gift of interesting matchups consistently across this episode, which we don't always get. I mean, some of them were landslides, obviously, but it was still fun to speculate. And I mean, guys, this was some good stuff here. So
always a blast, Charles. This is like this is the kind of crap that you and I used to do before we ever recorded it. Just speculate on complete nonsense, and now we do it, and other people like to hear it, which is always shocking to me. They do it. Anyway,
we know there's listeners out there, and we love you for listening and making it through this. We hope you enjoyed it, and that you aren't just waiting for the next Abercrombie book to be coming out. You're just kind of coasting until we do Red Country.
It's like, okay, but where's Red Country? We get a little of that.
It's coming.
We know it's all. We know it's all love. Red Country, it's coming. I'm on like the last chapter.
I've done all the episode notes already. We're just about there.
There we go.
But it's not its time yet, and we'll get there. And we're gonna get into Artifact Space with Christian Cameron, the author of the
Yes.
book, listed as Miles
So
Cameron
exciting.
on the cover. So I mean,
We're going on Fiction Fans soon,
going
too.
on Fiction Fans
Sarah and
soon. We're
Lily. That'll
talking
be
The
our first appearance
Witcher.
there.
We're talking Terry Pratchett. I mean, guys, you're not going to want to miss any of the upcoming fun shenanigans. But until then, I think we're just going to have to listen to that sweet, sweet outro, right, Dylan?
Let's get that sweet, sweet outro music pumping, Charles.
All right, here we go. Thank you, everyone, for listening to yet another very exciting episode of the Friends Talking Fantasy Podcast. If you like what you heard today, reach out to us over on the Twitter sphere over at the FTF Podcast with a number 1 at the end. We are also on Instagram at the FTF Podcast. Now, Dylan, if they like what they heard today and they want to support the show further than social media and they just so happen to be listening on Apple Podcasts, what can they do?
Toss 5 stars to our podcast.
Yes.
Just find that Friends Talking Fantasy page on the Apple Podcast app. Click the Friends Talking Fantasy page and scroll down past all those episodes until you start seeing stars. Once you're seeing stars, the optimal number of stars to click in order to support the show would be 5 of them.
Yes.
If you have a little bit of extra time, then writing a review is super helpful for a podcast like ours. But just listening is more than enough.
Guys, thank you all
you
so much for making it to the end, listening to all our shenanigans. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as always, go forth and conquer, friends.